All right, let's get started. Okay, everyone, welcome to the second webinar on going radically virtual in your business. So to just give you a bit of a recap, we did one of these 2 weeks ago, and I did it because, with the coronavirus and everybody staying at home and nobody working and can't meet people in person anymore, going virtual in your business, if you're an independent professional, is something that you want to do and work on and also do whatever you can to generate business during the coronavirus. We do not know how long this pandemic is going to last. There are estimates from, oh, we'll be okay in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, to we really won't be able to get going until the early fall. We really don't know. And so we want to prepare, we want to be thinking about this, and we want to go into action as soon as possible, not wait for later when things start to clear up. So I'm sharing ideas that are not just off the top of my head, but things that I've actually been doing with my clients for some time that are really working to make connections, to get conversations happening, to turning some people into new clients, even though we're going radically virtual. Now, I want to make a distinction between going radically virtual and doing marketing online. Now, it might be marketing online as well, but going radically virtual is often connecting person to person via video, but it's also sending out emails to your list. It's being in touch with people more often. So what I want to start with is, I shared some ideas last time. I talked about the necessity, in my opinion, to ramp up your communications, to be in touch with more people, and to reach out with individual simple emails and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing during the coronavirus? We haven't talked a while. I'd love to catch up. Let's have a short conversation and see how you're doing. And me and the people in my groups have been doing that really intensively for the last 3 months, even before coronavirus. So we are well prepared. And as coronavirus hit, the volume of connections has actually been going up and things have really been happening. But I'm interested to know from you, if anyone would like to share, if they've been reaching out and getting more meetings, and how has that been going for you? Would anyone like to share about that? And it could be someone from my group, I know you've been doing it, but anyone else that's been on the call or anyone that's been reaching out and connecting. And what you have to do is you have to put the mouse over the screen to unmute yourself so that we can hear you. Okay?
Robert, this is Jerry Houston. We talked about this in the last meeting, but we also,
Yes.
when I had the one-on-one with you, we talked again about reaching out, calling clients. We've started doing that as a team now. We've all agreed as a team that that's what we're going to do. So we've broken up the client list and we're going to make calls to each client. But I had a call with one of our really large, newer clients, and they happen to be in the hospital industry. And so that's really important. And we had a great 30-minute conversation, the CEO and I, yesterday. We did decide to postpone a virtual class that we were going to do after we talked about the crisis management that's going on in his business. And he's right. And so we canceled it. We rescheduled it for June, put dates on their calendars already so that it's not lost in the shuffle. But
yeah, very good.
It was very healthy, and the client was extremely appreciative of just saying, what can we do to help you? Forget about the course and forget about all of that right now. Let's just focus on what we can do. And he gave a couple suggestions. He has a couple people struggling. And so we're going to have some one-off conversations with those people. So it was very helpful. It was a great idea. And my team's enthused, and we can't wait to get to more and more clients in the next week here.
Right. So, every client you've worked with or working with now or in the recent past, and even some in the distant past, depending on how many people, be in touch with those people, have conversations. And you're not trying to sell them. You're trying to check in with them and communicate with them and see what the possibilities are and what's happening. And you got a positive result. And you couldn't probably have convinced him, no, we've got to do it now. That would not work. That would, he's dealing with other stuff right now. In some cases, they might say, hey, this is a perfect time. People are at home. The particular course you're doing might be really good right now. I'm talking to people that are doing courses on stress management and crisis management, this, that, and the other thing. So there are real opportunities right now, but sometimes it isn't going to happen right now. So thanks so much, Jerry. Perfect. That's exactly what is working now. It is exactly what's working. Okay, who else would like to share someone that's reaching out and making connections right now?
Maybe I can say a word.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes,
It's
go ahead.
Martin Wedgwood from Germany, actually. In fact, me, it's the other way around. I'm in a happy situation that I have my clients reach out to me in order to get the trainings we had planned to have that would have been analog, live trainings on the spot, to turn them into online workshops or online courses now, which is
Right.
it's great for me. It's a step I wanted to take for a long time. I'm very prepared for it with everything. I have the infrastructure and everything, but I wasn't keen enough until now to really take that step. Now people are addressing me if I could deliver something. So that's sometimes the interesting thing in crisis moments or in situations like this, that
Exactly.
positive things derive from that. And I'm really happy with that. So I'm taking it a step further now and rethinking my strategies to take those things I have been doing in group situations, in life situations, really to take that step now. And it's paid already. It's paid
Fantastic.
already.
But don't just sit around and wait for the phone to ring. Reach out to people as well.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah,
people always tell me, well, I get referral business, but do you ever ask for referrals? Do you ever reach out? Do you connect? Marketing is about connecting. It's about communicating. It's not about manipulation or pressure or all that kind of nonsense. It's about helping people. I'm trying to help you and give you ideas in this, and that's good for me and it's good for you. So congratulations. Very good. Okay, so thank you. And by the way, after you've shared, make sure to mute yourself so we don't get background noise. Okay.
Robert,
Let's have another person. Okay, Connie.
Robert, okay. Yeah. Oh.
Go ahead. Let's go Michael first and then Connie. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, now I've got the pressure on me. I thought I had a moment. I haven't reached out to very many, like about 6 or 7.
Okay.
But I will say that the last webinar that we did was very inspiring for me. But in the 6 or 7 that I reached out to, I'm beginning to think that this way of marketing, you might be onto something, and not just because of the coronavirus, because I've had some just fantastic conversations, and it really is a switch in the mindset, and it's probably even different neural pathways that we're using when we have these conversations, because the conversations that I've had have just been very collaborative. Some of them, there's one client that I've worked with on and off for 30 years, and we just had an amazing conversation about not anything we're can do right now, but what we can do later on, outside of the box, outside of my normal box. So, and that was true of almost every one of the conversations I had, is it just opened up and expanded my consciousness about what I can bring to the marketplace. And I've been doing this for 30 years, so I had a pretty well structured box.
Yeah. You hear that? He's got a pretty well structured box. Yeah, we all have a pretty well structured box. And it's wonderful being a self-employed independent professional. We like to work on our own. We like to be creative on our own. We don't like anyone else to tell us what to do, blah, blah. But we do have a downside in that the independence sometimes translates into isolation. We do our stuff, but we're often introverts, some of us, believe it or not. I am. I mean, I'm fine working in my office at home for hours and hours and hours, if not days at a time, and never talking to anyone. I'm fine with that. But ultimately, it doesn't really work. We don't connect with our network, and our network is our business. And this whole thing, and just, and I've obviously been emailing you guys since the beginning of time. For 22 years, I've been sending out a newsletter once a week, every Tuesday. But, when I started to teach people in my class how to do this, and we talked about it and worked out, how to invite people, etc., I said, well, I better do it as well. And I started reaching out to people and getting meetings with people, and it was fantastic. And I'm going to talk more about the power of that in a few minutes, and what you can do after the conversations, what you can do to keep it moving. And it's just as powerful as the connections themselves. So let's have Connie Brock. You want to share something, Connie, as well?
Sure. First of all, for those of you who missed the call 2 weeks ago, the thing that really struck out for me more than anything was Robert inviting us to think about who we want to be in the middle of all of this. And that really struck a chord for me. And I realized I wanted to be a source of inspiration. And in fact, this is almost viral, the way this is working, because I suddenly am reaching out to people in groups and talking, and everybody's responded. But I'm going to give you an example of how I worked with a client last night. I'm a career coach, so just last night I was meeting with a woman who is having a pretty big interview today, and she's a very, very senior level person in the healthcare industry. And she was immediately going to go into interview mode. And I stopped her and said, stop, and ask this guy, the senior vice president, how he's doing in the middle of all of what's going on around him. Be human with him.
The
really,
concept, be human.
Be human. I mean, really, we're all preoccupied with this. And yes, people may be wanting business or interviewing for jobs or whatever, but stop for just a moment and use this as an opportunity, as you said, to just sort of connect with people.
Yeah.
It hadn't occurred to her to do that. I think people are so focused on selling themselves that they're not focused on just touching another human being. So anyway, she was really surprised at that and liked the idea. And it just makes sense to me. Anyway, I appreciate what you're doing. And that's all I've got to say.
Fantastic, Connie. Yes, connect like a human being. And, when coronavirus is over, and it will be over someday, we don't know when, we want to keep this up. This is what we were doing before coronavirus in our programs that was working brilliantly well. And, you have a conversation and you find out how they're doing and you share some ideas. I talked about 4 things: ideas, insights, resources, and connections. Perhaps some other things. And then, sometimes that comes around to, gee, Robert, tell me more about what you're doing now, how you might be able to help me. That sounds interesting. And that starts happening naturally. See, the thing that's not easy to do is call a bunch of people and say, well, here's my new service. No one wants to have that conversation. It just feels abrupt. That's what we think of as selling and marketing. Instead of, hey, I just wanted to chat with you. I have some ideas. I'd like to see what you're doing. And that turns into selling conversations sooner or later in some cases. So it's so powerful and it's so easy. It's like we all have conversations with people. We know what a conversation is, but we just translate it to this. So let me just continue here. So what these conversations do, above all else, is it builds and improves your business relationships with those in your network. It improves your network. It improves your know, like, and trust factor, right? We all know that concept. I was reading a book. I'm reading a book. This is actually going to be a book that is required reading for my new program. This is a book that was written 30 years ago, but it's still as relevant today as it ever was. Harvey Mackay's Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And he talked about a guy that was a business associate that called him at 2 o'clock in the morning needing a loan for $20,000. because, you know, he had big cash flow problems and he'd written checks and he had to meet payroll, and it's like it was a real emergency. And so Harvey gave him some money, but not the full $20,000, although he could have easily done it many times over. And he said, you know, why wasn't I more generous? Well, because this guy had not been in touch with me for a long time. I hadn't talked to this guy in perhaps years. He knew who I was, obviously. We knew each other, but he hadn't maintained the connection and the relationship. And then he was talking about this in a group at one point, and they were going around the table and saying, how many people could call you at 2 o'clock in the morning and you know, and something would happen? And he said, how many people could you call at 2 o'clock in the morning? And they came around to Harvey and he said, you know, I have 50 people that I could call in 2 o'clock in the morning if I had to borrow $20,000, and I know they would all be able to help me. That is a powerful network. And you don't get a powerful network like that by just sending emails and hiding behind your computer all day. You have conversations, you get to know people better. And that's what it's about. So, you know, online marketing and social media, we have so many connections. You know, we have 5,000 Facebook friends, but are those people really in your network, people that you know, like, and trust, and that if you know, they needed help, you could help them like that? They're really not. So we have to come back to more human connections. So here's the question. What do you do after that? Okay, so I'm connecting, I'm communicating, we're brainstorming, whatever is happening. So I shared this on my e-zine today, so I'm going to talk about this model that I developed. And here it is. You can all see it. It says, connect, develop, reconnect, and redevelop. What do I mean by that? And it really is a big key. And if you're only connecting, you're missing something big, as important as that is. So what happens, and what I've discovered in these meetings with people, and these are also meetings with my clients recently, it's just happening left and right and center. And I also, as you know, sent out an email and said I'd be willing to meet anybody in the next week. And I've had more than 20 meetings with half-hour meetings with people on this call and other people. And this is what's happening. So I'm having a meeting with someone and I'm sharing an idea with them. You know, something that you might want to consider is this, or here's this resource, or this idea, or whatever it is. And then it sort of bounces back to me and I say to myself, I should be doing that. I should have that. I'm telling him that he should write this or put this together or this and this. Am I doing that right now? And all of a sudden, there's a new thing that I can develop for myself, that I can put together for myself, that can help in my business. So let's say it's an article. Oh yes, you ought to be writing an article about something because it would help people understand better about what you do, etc. Then I ask myself, do I have an article like that? Should I have an article? Well, maybe I should, you know. And in fact, I am writing a new article like that sort of talks about some of the things we're talking about in this thing, you know, how to market yourself in time of coronavirus. So I've started to write that. It's going to be a new article or report. So now I have something, I've developed something. And it didn't come just out of my mind, out of nowhere. It came out of an interaction. And that person says, wow, that was a good idea. Yeah, I should do that. And we talk about the value of that and how you would use it. And all of a sudden, I'm lit up about that and I see a possibility for that. So then, you know, a few days later, or a week or two later, I have an article that I can share with my list. Now, another thing I can do is I can share it with a limited number of people, perhaps. People that are close advisors and people in my network, people in my groups, and say, hey, I put together this article and I want to use it as a lead generator or just give it away right now, etc. Can you give me some feedback on the article? So we've developed, and then I reconnect with people, and then I redevelop it and improve it a bit more. And then, as this kind of stuff is happening with me and other people in my group over the past few weeks, I'm realizing, all the great things I've done, all the great things that I've succeeded with over the past 35 years, most of them, not every single one, came that way. I was having a conversation. I was explaining something. I was drawing a diagram. I can't tell you how many 4-quadrant diagrams I've created in brainstorming with people. It's sort of like this. You've got this axis and this axis, and you have 4 quadrants. And I'm just improvising. I'm making it up, but because through the conversation, I'm seeing ideas and I'm being more creative and things are coming up. And I say, hey, that's a model I could use. And there's something that before you know it, it's in my More Clients Club, or I'm sharing it with my clients, or it goes into something. In fact, some of you might be familiar with my marketing ball model. I wasn't sitting around one day twiddling my thumbs and thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a model to explain marketing? I had a lot of stuff about marketing already. No, it came out of a conversation that I had with a client. I was meeting with the client. And I said, well, he said, I don't know what to do next. I have this connection here, and what's the next step? And I don't know where it came from. I said, well, it's kind of like baseball. You're on first base now. You've got the attention. Now you've got to get onto second base and give them some more information so they want to meet with you, et cetera, et cetera. And I went, hey, this is pretty good. And then in a few minutes, we've developed a basic model just sketched out on a piece of paper. And later that afternoon, I was on my computer designing the first marketing ball model. A few weeks later, I was sharing it. A little while later, I created a video on it. After a while, I made it a central point in my whole marketing. When I did the revision of my InfoGuru manual, I added it to that. And it's been a robust model that I've been using for more than 20 years. So, but that came out of a conversation. It came out of interaction. So here's one of the problems, as I said, with self-employed professionals. We're isolated. In many cases, we're working on things on our own. We're trying to come up with ideas. We're trying to come up with whatever. And often you sit down in front of your computer and it's like, well, I just can't write it. I'm not sure what the thing is. I mean, there's no ideas flowing. The ideas really start to flow in that interactive communication. So, many of the people that I met with this week that set up the 30-minute appointments, I said, I'm happy to give as much time as I can give right now to help anybody. I've got some time on my hands right now, so I'm going to do a lot of appointments. And I gave everything, the best stuff I could give to those people in that 30 minutes. But I also said it's a little bit selfish because, well, I'm sharing with you, I'm going to get some new ideas. And you know what? I did over and over and over again. In fact, I have ideas stacked up in my brain that sort of go back here right now. I'm trying to frantically write them down and get them organized, and they all won't come into fruition. But for instance, I was meeting with a woman named Kelly, who is a past client. She's been in my groups, and she's a wonderful person, really smart. She works with, I got to get it right, the Hollywood and Silicon Valley, and connects Hollywood and Silicon Valley. How Apple can do this with things in the media, et cetera, et cetera. So she works with very high level people with interesting things. And we're talking about, what about, maybe you should we talked about the one-on-one conversation thing, which she says, yes, I haven't been doing that enough. But what about getting together some of these high-powered people and do a virtual meeting with them? And she says, interesting that you said that, because I used to do these kind of salons in my home, and we would have wine, and we would go around and chat, and people would get to know each other and improve our relationships. And she said the cross-pollination and connections and deals and possibilities that came out of that were astonishing. And she said, but I haven't done that for a long time. And I said, well, why not do that again, but just do it virtually, just do it on Zoom? contact a really select group of people, say it's only for a few people, maybe 6 or 8 or 10 people, something like that. And we're going to talk about this and, you know, brainstorm ideas about what to do around coronavirus, et cetera, et cetera. She said, what? And she left the call so inspired, so turned on, so ready to take action. And then, of course, I said to myself, yeah, I should, you know, I'm doing this big webinar, but, you know, I've got some amazingly powerful people in my network, people that have been clients 10 years ago that have gone on to create extraordinarily successful businesses. They're smart people, they're good networkers, they have a lot of ideas. And shame on me, I have not been in touch personally with most of them. I mean, really, I haven't done that as well. And every time I think of that, I get excited. I sometimes get choked up about, you know, I get to reconnect with these people and see how they're doing and share ideas. And this is the time to do it, to get together any way you can. So, you know, the kinds of ideas and the kinds of things that you can do, that ideas that will be stimulated that will turn into developing something are somewhat unlimited, but I have made a list of several of them, and I'll just mention a bunch of them and talk about them. So one very simple thing is you can be sending out emails about certain things and, you know, link to a report or just say how you're doing. Just be in touch by email to your list or to the individuals, of course. Number 2 is you can write articles and or reports. And they don't have to be long 50-page articles. They may be 1 or 2 pages, but something that's relevant right now that will help people. And people will appreciate getting that. Also, you know, at the next level, it could be ebooks. Another thing is presentations, PowerPoint or keynote presentations. You know, I put together a little simple keynote presentation which tells you the 6 things you need to do if whatever. People love that stuff. So very simple to do in many cases. Most people know how to put those together. Another thing you can do is you can put together a little video. Now, it might be a video of you talking. This is the thing that I resist the most, is sitting at my computer and doing this. Easy with a group, not by myself. But a lot of people are doing that. Really short, fun, interesting, interactive videos. They really get an experience of you. You know, you've got to think for yourself, what will the content be, what it's going to be, I don't know. But these are the different media. And of course, webinars, like I'm doing now, and like I've mentioned. Also, you know, a cool thing to get, I love these, is infographics. You know, infographics is a number of ideas sort of in a list, but it's got graphics around it. And you know, if you go online and look for infographic templates, you don't have to be the designer. Everything is online now. And you can just create an infographic template and pop your own words and images into it. And there you have something that you can send out to people or post on social media. Another really powerful thing right now, I think, that's on my list of things to do is do a survey. And you can do a survey for free with SurveyMonkey. So what do you need to ask your clients, your network? What do you need to know that will help you develop the next thing or offer the next thing? What would be most valuable to my network right now? So, you know, anybody could go online in 10, 15, 20 minutes, create a survey. You send an email, link it to the survey, and within a day or so, you've got some useful data that can help you. Another fun thing is checklists. Here's the checklists of the 27 ways to find toilet paper these days. You know, it's okay to do something that would be fun or funny, you know. I would personally appreciate a list like that. My toilet paper stack is running a little bit low, so an infographic or a list or a checklist and all those ways. Something like that. Think outside of the box. Have fun with this. Just, you know, go for it. This also might be a great time for some of you to start writing a book. You're not going to get a book written in the next few weeks, except some people can't do that. But, you know, you've always thought, when I have the time, I'm going to start that book. Well, if you're not as busy as usual, this might be a perfect time to start a book. And when coronavirus is over in a few months, then that's a great time to launch it. The book that you've always wanted to write, why not now? And again, you might be talking to a client and talking about books, and then you say, well, let's see, I want to write a book. Why don't I put together a little webinar or a group of people or some of my friends and brainstorm ideas around the book? Use the survey to generate ideas for the book. Write a few articles and see which article gets the most traction, and the one that gets the most, that might be the right direction for a book. You see, all these ideas are connected and interconnected. Of course, you could do a podcast or recording of some sort. Here's my ideas and insights about right now. Another thing that people will love is interview people. See, people love to be interviewed, and there's a lot of people. By the way, I love to be interviewed. And if you're somebody who has a channel and wants to interview me, I will be happy to interview and talk about this kind of stuff. It's great publicity for me. It gets my word out. So, who could interview you? Who might be a person that would like your topic? When I started to have the intention to get interviews, guess what happened? I got a lot of interviews. I thought, oh, that person, how about them? When I was talking to Kelly at the end of our conversation about getting her group together, she said, what can I do for you, Robert? And I said, I'm looking for interviews. She said, funny you mentioned that. I used to do interviews all the time with a podcast. I'm starting again. Will you be my first interview? Pow, just like that. So connection, interaction, conversation, developing an idea, something happens. Of course, social media posts. Might want to be more active on social media and post various things. And, don't just post stuff on social media. I think that has limited value. But look at other people that are commenting. And, if you join a Facebook book group for your industry, for instance, there's all kinds of people. Some of those might be potential clients for you. Friend them. If they comment on what you post or you interact with them, make sure to friend them in Facebook. And then, some interaction, and then send them a message. Once they're a friend, you can send them a message. Say, hey, I really liked what you said about that. Hey, what are you doing about coronavirus right now? Blah, blah, blah. And then try to move that online conversation into an offline conversation and chat with them. Hey, I'd love to chat with you about that. Want to get together with me on Zoom? It's not that hard to do. It's just like, if you were in a room with a lot of people and you were just meeting and talking, and all of a sudden you just start having a conversation, you're just doing it virtually. But you got to get offline and have a conversation if you want it to ever turn into anything substantial. You got to have a conversation. And of course, another thing, I've left the perhaps most important to last. Out of this, you will develop new, different, and improved services and programs. I'm talking to someone, they say, well, I'm really having an issue with this. And, I've been doing programs in this area. Maybe this is the kind of program I ought to be doing instead. That seems to be a good idea. And then you start writing information and creating a sales letter, and all of a sudden you've got a new program. Look, I pivoted very quickly. I'm doing my marketing action group program that I do twice a year. I'm starting one in April. I start another one in September. And I said, I'm going to change the name of it. I'm going to call it the Radically Virtual Marketing Program. It's really the same program with a little more emphasis on going virtual. And I changed the copy. I changed the headline. I did this. And guess what? A whole bunch more people signed up for my program. Ta-da! So I pivoted, and now my program is full. Well, actually, I got like 2 spaces. So if anyone's interested, just send me an email, let me know, and I'll tell you about it. But that's how it worked. You start to create stuff, and you create some magnetism around what you're doing. So this little, very simple diagram, connect, develop, reconnect, redevelop, put stuff out there, is very powerful. And if you really think of it, that's how companies start. You meet with someone, you brainstorm, you bring in other people that can do different things, you develop things, but it comes out of these conversations. So, and right now, I think it's pretty clear during the coronavirus epidemic, it's even more important than ever. And there's more opportunities now. People are more willing to have conversations than I've ever seen. They're a little less busy. They're glad you're being in touch. They're happy to hear from you, just as Michael said and other people have said. So what I'd like to do is let's just open it up for comments. You know, what would you like to say? What ideas are sort of pinging for you in this conversation, or any questions you might have? We're going to do that for a few minutes. Yeah, our time is pretty good, and then I'm going to interview a few guests.
Robert, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Robert, actually, I have two questions, or no, a question and a comment. First of all, when we're talking one-on-one in a Zoom situation, should we be recording the call? That's one question.
Well, you know, if you're recording it one-on-one or group.
See, one-on-one is just that you could go back after and recall what was said, and that can be very good.
That's fine. You just might want to, you say, is it okay if I record that call? Most people will say fine.
Sure. Yeah,
Some people say to me, I want to record the call for me, and then you record it for them if you're doing a consultation, for instance.
Sure.
Let me give you a tip on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy named Jay Abraham. He's a really famous marketing consultant. And he used to record all his consultations. And then he had them all transcribed. Then he put them in a book and sold them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, he really understands the reuse of things, you know, and I have a pile of them that I bought from him, you know, and it's a whole series of different marketing ideas. And there's a whole section on nothing but interviews, and they're really valuable because he says, well, here's your situation. Here's what you can do. And consider this. Fantastic stuff. And he's not so much a writer. He has other people sort of write from his materials. So anyway.
Yeah. I just also want to say, Dr. Edward de Bono actually wrote his book, 6 Action Shoes, flying from London to South Africa on the plane. So it's possible to do it quickly. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really powerful. Okay, good. Okay, who else has got a comment or a question or an insight for you?
So this is Jerry Houston again, Robert.
Great.
One of the things I've certainly noticed is everybody's writing to everybody and trying to do things virtually with everybody. I mean, it is really getting crowded out there, and I wonder how much is too much, where we get to the point of pestering.
Yeah. Well, that's why the personal meetings are, you know, stand aside from that. It's not like getting a lot of email. But I will give you a few tips. I was talking to someone about this the other day. If you send email out, number one, make it really relevant. Don't tell people stuff they already know. You know, right now there's so many COVID cases and blah, blah, blah. They'll all know that. Don't give them the stuff on the news. They already know that. Tell them something that's relevant for them in their particular business. The less general and the more specific, the better. That's really important, I think. Another thing is don't make it too long and wordy. You know, find a way to be as punchy and so they can read as quickly as possible. You know, here's 5 things, 1, 2, 3, short, simple statements about what you can do or ideas, etc. You know, I've seen ones that just go on forever, and it's like, man, I got 50 others behind this. You want to catch their attention. Another thing is make your type larger. God, I hate these little tiny type in emails. I send email in 18-point type. It's much larger, and all the things that I send, it's much more readable when you get it in your inbox. That's a very simple thing, but people don't seem to get that. Another thing is highlight things and bold things and and use colors and make things pop out a little bit. Not so it's crazy and garish and chaotic, but you know, I highlight a thing that's red and then bold and then bullet, 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 that kind of thing. That increases consumption of your emails. Another thing, add a graphic, add a picture, add something. And sometimes use a little humor. You know, we can use a little humor now. You know, I shared a thing on social media of someone dressed in a hazmat suit with a complete gas mask and everything. And I said, is this the fashion choice of the future? And I can imagine, I don't want it to happen. Everybody on the street is dressed like that. And if we do that, we're going to have to find it in a way that dress in a way that's actually fashionable. Well, you know, it could happen. We're going to have fashionable hazmat suits, and that cracked people up, you know. So, but then it could go into something serious. No, we're not this far, but make sure whatever. You know, find a way to get engagement that way. That's the kind of stuff I try to use. You know, when I found this picture of the guy on the moon and the Earth in the background, I said, that's perfectly for going radically virtual. I was trying to look for a picture and everything wasn't it. And then I found that in the site where I get my graphics. And I said, man, I just love this. It's just perfect. The guy with the laptop on the moon. So, you know, and that sort of makes people smile. That is a good thing. Okay.
Robert, I love your connect, develop, reconnect, redevelop model.
Right.
It gives an opportunity, you know, it gives a framework to really think about how to authentically reconnect with some past clients in particular.
Yes. Yes, that's the idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, it's a simple model. It's a very simple model. So, you know, every time you have a conversation, see, what could I develop out of that? You can't every time, obviously, but more than you realize. So I hope you can see that you can start to implement this and it can lead to new possibilities. You know, I think that, you know, somebody said, what's his name? No, I'm blanking on the name. Who wrote the book, The Reason Is Why, the Why book? What's his name? Starts with Z.
Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek.
Yes. So he's watching a webinar with Simon Sinek the other day. And the thing he said is, with coronavirus, you don't have the same job you used to have. You have a new job. And it's communicating and interacting, whatever, differently than you had before. You can't go back to your old job. And you can't necessarily go back to offering the same services in the same way you have. It's delivering them virtually. It's offering different kinds of programs on different topics for different reasons. So this connection, development, reconnection process is really important if you want to develop those things. You know, get feedback. What do you think? I'm thinking of these 3 possible courses. Which one? They might say none of them are, oh my gosh, that one, yes, pow. And all of a sudden, you could have a new client for that particular program. If not now, probably later. You know, we don't get enough feedback from our network about what they're really looking for. We make this stuff up and, you know, and sometimes it's not what they need. So with that, I think we're going to do a couple little interviews here. So, and more than an interview. So is Joey Chandler around? Are you there, Joey?
Yes, I am.
Okay, there's Joey Chandler.
I'm here somewhere.
So I met Joey Chandler on the Awarepreneurs Facebook group. And there he was, and he had a little video, and it just immediately got my attention. I went, this is great. I just love the hell out of it. So I'd never met Joey before, but I friended him, and I said, hey, Joey, would you like to be on my class? I'd like to have you demonstrate this to show how you can take just about anything visual. So what is it? Well, Joe was doing an exercise class, but not an ordinary exercise class. You know, people are doing exercise class. I've seen Zumba and Jazzercise and all that stuff, which is great. But his channel is called Move Your Junk. Move your junk. And so moving your junk is taking everyday household items and using them for exercise. And then I created a little video And I sent it just to Joey. I've been too scared to send it to everybody. I probably should have because it's just great. So 2 cans of beans. And you know, you can exercise with 2 cans of beans. So I said to Joey, can you give us a, tell me how did you come up with this? And let's just do a little demonstration.
Yeah, so
we want to get people actually moving a little bit.
Yeah, we will do that in a second. But in honor of my wife, who actually came up with the name, it's actually called Grab Your Junk.
Grab Your Junk.
Grab Your Junk, to go a little bit further.
Yeah.
And the idea, it actually started about a year and a half ago. I was sitting around feeling really lethargic, and I honestly didn't have the money to join a gym. And I knew that if I was to join a gym, I probably would quit anyway. And I realized that I had, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, seemingly like millions of dollars worth of junk in my garage. And I said, okay, what can I do and exercise with that? I did that for a while. That actually got me going. And I ended up running a half marathon out of doing that about a while later. And then when this happened, we went into lockdown. It's just been about 3 weeks now, or just under 3 weeks. And every day since then, I have done a Grab Your Junk workout. They started, I just started posting them on Facebook as just the summary. And now people are like, hey, I want to do that. So now I do live Zoom calls every morning at 8 a.m. and we do a Grab Your Junk workout.
Right. And then hopefully you'll turn this to an online channel, and maybe people will pay a monthly fee of some sort and have all kinds of workouts. We shall see, right?
Yeah, my main goal actually, and if anyone can help me out with this, is I want to get introduced to Jimmy Fallon, Colbert, Seth Meyers, one of the late night guys who are working out at home, and I thought this would be a great thing. But I will show everybody what it is that we're talking about here. But I got to shift cameras real quick.
It's such a fun thing. It really could go nationally viral. It really could. I think the potential is there. Okay, so let's see what you got.
Did I switch? I just want to make sure that
Yeah, I see a different video now.
Yeah. Okay. So here I got 3 things that I did exercises with. The first one is, I don't know if you guys have kids, they might have painted a lightsaber. And so you can do just stretches, just like this. And we do that. And we do that. And then you can do squat jumps like this, up and down, and you move like that. I did another one with a tire. I imagine some of you have tires in your garage. These work really well like this. You do 10 of these, and then 10 outs. And if you want to add a squat, you can do that. And I do that. And all of the exercises are 1 minute on, 45 seconds rest. So it's 3 sets of 3 sets. So it lasts about 20 minutes. And then yesterday, honestly, yeah, I got up. I just had a bad day. I started looking at Facebook and my head got in a bad spot. And so one of the women who comes on often, I told her I was in a funk, and she said, oh, let's do a teddy bear. So she grabbed a teddy bear. I grabbed something that was like this, and we just hugged. And we just hugged, and we moved. And the whole point of this, and so I've done these now with coolers. I've done these with skis, ski poles, bikes, a bucket of baseballs. Whatever you have in your garage, you can do something with. And the point of this isn't just so much to do a workout, but the point, it does 3 things extremely well. One, helps you be, it helps you get creative because you got to think of something new. It helps you get active, and it makes you laugh.
And make you laugh, right?
Yeah. And those 3 things, I actually think are crucial if you're going to be working at home for a long time. And so, and the other workout we did, and everybody can do this right now, I actually did, and so everybody can stand up, grab the chair that you're sitting in right now. Everybody stand up. I can see everybody, so.
I don't think I can lift my chair, it's too heavy. No, I can't.
Or how it is, and you can do curls, just like this. Everybody do 10 curls, just to move your body.
I'm going to go back to my soup cans, if nothing else.
If nothing else, like grab something else. And you can do squats, like this. and then you can move yourself up. So that's what I do. I do those every morning. And I'm actually a purpose coach. I help people identify their purpose. But doing this has made me laugh. It's gotten me connected. And now I'm actually on shows like this, or webinars like this that I probably wouldn't have been on had I not done this Grab Your Junk workout.
Fantastic. So can you go to YouTube and find these videos?
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm gonna go back to me here. My back. You can't see me. I don't know why me.
See you. Yep.
Yes, if you look for Joey Chandler, I have a YouTube page, and the Grab Your Junk workouts are there, and I'll post them in the chat.
Okay, fantastic. So Grab Your Junk.
And I'll say this, if you find my website, I'll post that too. 8 a.m. every morning, we do this. So we have a Zoom meeting, so everybody come in and come grab your junk with us. It's totally fun.
Fantastic. I want to applaud you.
Pacific time, but there's a question.
I think it's just fantastic.
Thank you.
What time zone is it in?
Pacific. I'm in just north of San Francisco.
8 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
So translate for your time zone. That's 11 o'clock Eastern time. But if nothing else, you can go to YouTube and watch them there as well.
Yeah.
I wish you all the success. I've been watching Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert broadcasting their shows from home, which is really fun.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Pick up the phone and talk to them. The producers are looking for ideas now. I have something wacky. You want to see it? Right?
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay. So now with that, thank you so much, Joey. I'm going to interview Morgana Ray.
Hi. Before we go into my stuff, Joey, take your best, cleanest 3-minute video. Your pitch, fantastic. Your demo's fantastic, funny, charming, exactly what TV is wanting. I would start by calling local TV shows if you haven't already, like morning shows, because it's so perfect. And extra points if you can do like push-ups with a dog or a baby.
Or a news anchor.
Right, and well, no, it's social distancing, but it's because you are reflecting what everybody in America is experiencing. And then you get some great tape and you have a little more polish and confidence and experience, because totally you can be on all those shows that Conan, Steven, Jimmy, all of that should be really easy for you.
The potential is huge for this, but that's a really good point. Start locally.
Awesome, thank you.
And then you have the video, you show it to them and they like it or not, and you try another one. Fantastic. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck, Joey. All right. Okay, Morgana.
Yes.
So, just a second here. Okay. So Morgana, I've known Morgana for some time. I interviewed her for my club several years ago, and we've been in touch mostly by social media. I bumped into her in person at a seminar or two, but now she's been doing virtual stuff like me for years and years. So I'd like to just have you share with us, what have you done to go virtual? What works? What doesn't work? That kind of thing. And tell us a bit about the kind of stuff you teach as well.
Okay. Well, I've been an international best-selling author and a mentor coach for over 25 years. And I shifted to virtual. I radically shifted to virtual in 2012 because I had worn myself out traveling the country, doing talks, selling books, and burning out. And I wanted a boyfriend. And I wanted to travel the world with the love of my life. And I couldn't do that if I had too many clients or if I was at the post office shipping stuff. So I had to digitalize it all, have fewer one-on-one clients, have online programs so that I had time and space. And then I met my husband that year, and we've been getting married 100 times in 100 countries. So there are benefits to
Did
online
you hear
and
that,
social.
everybody? Morgana has gotten married, or is on her
25, we're 25 down, 75 to go.
way.
And then we'll start over.
So you, it's the wackiest thing I've ever heard, but it's such a great attention getter. It's like, who is this wacky person? And on social media, you'll see wonderful pictures of weddings and strange places with cakes and people and this and that, and she's actually gotten married. And so you could never get a divorce because you'd have to get divorced 25 times. I mean, it's
in
impossible.
About 20 countries, and our love is locked in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and my husband would have to dive into the river, find the slimy key to unlock our lock, and he's not a good swimmer. So
It's all over. You'll have to kill each other to end the marriage. That's the only way you'll do it. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. So tell me about how you managed to go virtual. What are some of the things you did? What are some tips you have for us?
For one thing, especially for the coaches, something that I figured out early on that really, really surprised me is that coaching is far more effective virtually, especially over the phone. People will share everything if you can't see them. So, and I can articulate that as a benefit because I like to work with people on very, very deep stuff. One of the values for me of virtual, and I've had my newsletter since November of 2002, is I'm an introvert. And as my husband would say, a shut-in. So
You never know it, Morgana.
now I fake it really, really well. I love people, but I like to be cocooned.
Yeah,
And
I get it. Me too.
so writing something is a lot safer for me because I can edit it a gazillion times. And some people are miraculous going to live events and schmoozing and hustling, and it's not my natural way of being.
Right.
So there is safety. I like to call the internet the introvert's key to fame and fortune. And I'm seeing quarantine accelerate things that were already in motion. We are so, because the whole online marketing world is just maturing and getting noisy and getting vanilla and white noise background. Stuff that used to work doesn't work anymore and probably shouldn't work anymore. So I was already saying that we need to get more personal, less of this general broadcast all over the place of just your webinars and Facebook ads. So, and what's happening is people are panicking, so they're doubling down on these generalities and everybody doing the same stuff, which makes it even harder and more painful. So when everybody's zigging zag, so get more personal.
We're gonna take a walk. Want to take a walk with us?
Oh,
1 second. I'm gonna mute all, and then you have to unmute yourself again, Morgana.
all right, I'm back. So getting more personal, which I think is actually a very good thing for business anyway, getting more specific. And by the way, what I love Joey doing TV, which is so interesting now because he can't do it in the studio. And what you've got is so perfect for this moment. And I'm seeing that with a lot of clients, is that thing that they've had for so long that was hard going is like, oh my God, this is your moment.
Yes.
So certain things became urgent overnight for a lot of people, and now's the time to embrace it. But back to zigging when other people are zagging, everybody is on Facebook and all those things. I mean, the good news is we're also buying much more than we ever did before because we just want connection and we want accountability and we want to do something.
Yeah.
But so go mainstream, like do real TV, do real radio, do real newspapers, heck, maybe even do direct mail. I've never done that, so I can't speak to it, but I would, do the phone calls, do the stuff that everybody else isn't doing.
Yes.
And sharpen your message. This is like really find and grab onto your weirdness. Don't be afraid to repulse some people. I think polarity is fantastic. There's no magic in neutrality. Nobody knows who you are if they can't like you or dislike you. Don't be offensive. Don't be gratuitous. Don't throw your feces against the wall. I'm not talking that, but I'm talking about, taking stands and being willing to be forceful enough in your opinions that people can actually disagree with you.
Yes.
And then your people can hear you better.
Yes. So it's sort of willingness to be as outrageous as you are anyway, but the world doesn't know yet.
Oh, I love that.
I'm being a little more outrageous than usual. And, the thing that I think we're all noticing, they're doing this. Don't you feel a little more alive right now? A little more excited, a little more, it's like, wow, here's the opportunity for us to make a bigger difference than we've ever made before. That's exciting for me. Now, it's also a little exhausting when you do 20 appointments in a week, but it's exciting. The opportunities are there like never before.
I feel more tender because
as well.
I really, I want, actually, it's interesting that you were talking about connecting with past clients, because that's really what I want to do. I want to connect with people I already have relationships with. I honestly want to find out how they're doing. I don't know who's going to be alive in 3 or 6 months. I'm actually pulling back from like launching a big year-long thing. I would rather work in smaller blocks.
Yeah.
And I want to find out, and I really just want to find out, who can I help now?
Yep. Great. Thank you so much, Morgana. Thanks for your energy, your radiance, your stand for marriage. And, I know you're going to do great during this period.
Thank you.
How can you not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope Morgana has inspired you a little bit. Fantastic. Okay. So Carl Contino, are you there?
I most certainly am. Hi.
Okay, there's Carl from Fiji. So I want to tell you a little bit about Carl. Carl is a business associate and also a friend. After the last meeting that we did on 2 weeks ago, I was really amped up and excited, and I said, I need to talk to somebody. I need to tell them what I'm doing, etc. And I said, so I put out some emails to a few people, and I put out one to Carl. I don't know if it was a phone message or an email. I think it was whatever. And it was 8 o'clock at night here in the West Coast, but it was 11 o'clock at night in the East where Carl is. And in 10 minutes later, he called me back. He says, hey, dude, how you doing? And, I discovered that Carl is a late night guy. He's up till 2 o'clock in the morning creating stuff and doing stuff in his cave there in Fiji. And and we talked for an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. And we're brainstorming ideas. And then we talked again later. And I said, I think I'm going to have guests on my show. And I invited you. And as I was inviting you, I had been communicating on Facebook with Morgana, and I was on Zoom with you, and Morgana called me on the phone, and I was booking you both for the meeting at the same time. It was like an amazing moment. It was really fun, and we were having a great time. And so Carl is a man of many talents. He's the guy that developed my website a number of years ago and helped me create the club and the membership thing and make it all work technically, which is basically rocket science. And he knows how to do that. if you're someone who needs some help with doing just about anything on the web, especially with WordPress, he can do it. You want to have whatever, he can find a way to make it happen. He's a designer, he's ridiculously creative, he's a musician, etc. But that is not what we're here to talk about. But I do want to give the website, and I'll give websites to all our guests on the follow-up email. But it's untappedgenius.com, is that right?
Actually, for the web development, it's packaging your passion.
Okay. Packaging your passion, but I'll put both of those on the follow-up email. But something that Carl has been working on, it's his life's work. You know, it's not what he earns a lot of money from yet, but it's what he spends all his spare time on, is this thing called Life is a Wave. And he discovered and researched and created theories, ideas, and models to show that everything in the world is just a vibrational wave. And if we can tune into that wave, new possibilities open up for us in our life. Is that a pretty good?
Absolutely. Very well put.
Often the hardest thing is, how do we talk about this damn thing?
I know.
So what's a couple things that you would say that would be useful for us tune? See, the whole coronavirus thing, that's a wave as well. It's a wave of communication, and it's the wave of the pandemic is coming through. It's a natural process, not one we particularly like, but it's there. And we have to figure out how to flow with that, and how we're flowing with that is being isolated right now. And, you know, we can survive this. So what do you say?
First of all, love this webinar. The energy is amazing.
Thank you.
And, you know, I've been having some really exciting conversations with people, and I kind of have to be a little careful because I find myself thoroughly excited in the midst of the challenges, the uncertainty, the chaos, time of flux. But I cannot help but realize that paradoxically, during a time of challenge and crisis is the time to get our thing happening. Now, you know that, you know, I've been working on the Life is a Wave for 23 years now. And one of the venues that I've been thinking about for like 10 years is a Untapped Genius membership site, right? Well, I think you're going to be proud of me. You know how I can like prepare forever, and I want all the nice pictures and all that, right?
Yes.
In 3 days.
Yes.
I created a site from scratch, new domain. I launched the membership site 2 days ago.
Yes.
Instead of all these bells and whistles, because I'm going to have a coach on demand app. I'm going to be using virtual reality to hook up with people. There's all sorts of different things that I've been planning. I said, you know what, the hell with that.
Start simple.
Right. And right now, unique time in history is we all collectively, globally have a primary concern, being safe and secure, and then going from there. And so I decided to simplify my membership and say, all right, no bells and whistles right now. We're just going to do a mastermind group coaching thing for 2-3 hours every single week. And the theme is, number one, let's connect, let's get calm. Because I know for myself, I have a very volatile mind.
Yes.
From the day I was born. And I also have some cognitive challenges or glitches that used to plague me, but actually ultimately gave me my life's work. Because after trying to solve my cognitive problems like ADD, dyslexia, I also have a Tourette syndrome type of thing happening when I go to play music, something I dedicate my life towards for 30 years.
So,
and I read hundreds.
What else is in the club, in the membership thing?
In the membership, keeping it really simple. It's weekly calls, live coaching, training on mindset, which is the main focus.
Okay.
And also, let's get busy here. So I'm going to bring in some of the web development and whatnot in there. So, hey, let's walk through. What does it take to take your idea and turn it into a membership site or something? And so this is all about coming together, connecting, generating ideas, supporting one another, and
Fantastic.
Let's get busy. That's it. And it's going to be $30 a month. That's it.
Great.
And I got my first member. Can you believe it?
Yes, yes. Revenue.
Really, that was so exciting. just the first, and it made this idea that I've had for many years real. And why is it happening right now? Because of the corona wave that I'm riding to the best of my ability.
Yes.
And my job, my game at play is, I don't want to put blinders on. So I am following the news very carefully, reading, researching, and everything. So eyes wide open. But Carl, get into the habit of going from this, which you don't want, to, all right, what do you have? What resources you got? What is working? What are you here to do? And how can I get going now, not tomorrow? So let's simplify. I was going to build my email list. I was going to do a wait list, all this crap. No.
Yes.
3 days.
I've been kicking Carl's ass a little bit about this.
In a beautiful kind of way.
Carl, make it approachable, doable now. So that's fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing that, and you're starting to launch it. I'll put your links in to the follow-up email.
Yeah, I did something.
Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, I did something pretty cool too. I bought a domain to make it easy for people, which I think is smart.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
What is
it? The domain that'll redirect, it's amazingru.com, the letters. Amazingru.com.
Amazingru.com.
Right? Love it. So, but
I got the domain radically virtual. I was surprised that
right.
So,
yeah. But the bottom line is, for me, is everything begins and ends with the mind. And I know, especially with my sensitized volatile mind, that when I'm in fear mode or I'm focusing on right, and catastrophizing and all that, my brain goes extra blank. I can't think. And the solutions to my problems that might be right there in front of me, I can't see them because I'm in the wrong state of mind. I'm tuned to the wrong channel, so to speak, where that idea is on a different channel. So it's, for me, it's all about enticing a higher, clear state. And then also finally, finding the rhythm and flow with how things progress. Because I don't know about you, I will, especially if I get panicky or a little pressure or something, I rush the beat, as it's called in music, and I lose the rhythm. If I can get calm and clear, then all of a sudden I can think again, and that solution that was right in front of me all along.
Yep. It sounds like you're working at being a product of your own product, right?
Yeah, I am my own experiment to the max.
Yes, we all are to some degree or not.
Right. Great call. Really enjoy this. Thank you for having me on. Joey, love your idea. I'm looking forward to seeing you on TV. You are already on TV in my mind. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And Morgana, thank you so much for your perspective as well. This is it's really cool.
So thank you very much to all my guests. It was perfect, Joey, Morgana, and Carl. I hope you got some good ideas. You know, remember this. You know, you can go to my blog and you can see this in the latest blog post and read the article about it, much of what we talked about today. So we're going to have another one of these in 2 weeks on the 17th. Who knows? I already have 3 guests lined up for it. We'll be taking it to the next level, whatever that next level is. And, you know, I appreciate you participating. And I'm going to unmute everybody just so that we can all say, no, we're going to unmute all. Okay. So we can all say goodbye and farewell at the same time. So goodbye, everybody. Happy trails.
Bye.
Good luck.
Bye.
Go into action. Make stuff happen. Connect. Communicate. Develop. Okay, everybody.
Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
What are you talking about, Barb?
Stay safe. Stay safe and stay connected.
What are you talking about now? Woman for what?
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.